Okay, let's bring the meeting to order of the Board of Abatement hearing. I'm guessing, Rosemary, you're going to swear in all the V.S.A members?
Yes.
You need to put your video on so we can see your right hand raised.
Seriously?
Seriously.
1 second. I'm in a little trouble here. I'm in quarantine right now.
Okay.
Really?
There we go. Yeah.
What about
Well, you had to
Jan?
turn the lights off too.
It's better this way. Here we go.
Okay, we see Jan Perkins, Jan Gearhart.
She hasn't got on yet. Maybe she doesn't have a good connection up there.
I'm not sure, but it took a little while for her audio to start, but it looks like the audio started. I've asked her to unmute.
It's usually a lot smoother than this. Jan, are you able to put your video on?
Probably got too much snow on that mountain already.
We're gonna have to take her word for it.
Yeah, if the V.S.A board is comfortable, we will assume Jan has raised her right hand and is listening to Rosemary.
Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will well and true hear and determine all matters at issues for abatement submitted for your decision, so help you God, or under pains of penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay,
We heard her.
Robin, Michael,
Hear me?
is there anyone else anticipated to be testifying or providing any, there's Jan. Or just you two?
Unmute Jan.
And Jan, you did say I do, correct?
There you go, Jan.
And we
Okay.
can't hear you, but we hear her nodding.
It takes me a while. I live too high.
She lives at the end of a Dixie cup. Okay, we've all received the abatement request. I'm gonna ask Robin to fill us in a little bit, and then we will go to the Michael. Go ahead, Robin.
I'm a little thrown off. I think you're expecting this to be a V.S.A.
Yes.
A tax abatement I normally would not speak at. I will just tell you the background of what happened with Michael. Is he is a business owner of AG Self Storage, which is on Route 15. He did not receive his pamphlet, which was certainly mailed by certificate of bulk mailing. Certificate of mailing is always done when reappraisals are done in towns. If it was a yearly change of appraisal, I would still have done a certificate of mailing. The only reason it says bulk mailing is because we did catalogs. Michael spoke to me in July after he called in and spoke to Rosemary inquiring about what the tax rate was. And he realized that his assessment changed. He had forgotten that we were going through a town reappraisal. So I had the pleasure of going over his assessment with him, which had significantly changed because when I did it in 2018, we were using 2010 costs, which is huge. This is a 10-year jump. And also when I did it in 2018, I was being consistent with what the town had done in the past, and they did not have a commercial database. So I used the residential database and I called him, what was it? I did it as storage units, light commercial, and when the experts came in from Nemrick, who do this all the time, all around the state, they looked at the facility and they called it a mini warehouse, which is what they use all around for these type of properties. The biggest thing that happened with Michael is he did not get a chance to grieve, because by not getting this information, although I believe he may have gotten the information and discarded it because it looked like, looked like we all saw it. It looked like a catalog. Anyway, he didn't have a chance to grieve. So we really can't let him grieve at this point, because we have to follow state statutes. Once a change appraisal is put out, we had a schedule. These were all mailed on May 22nd to 1,200 people in town. We held informational hearings on June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then the following week, June 8th, 9th, and 10th, we did grievance hearings. If you do not follow through with the grievance hearings, you can't go to V.S.A. No changes can be made unless there is an error. And I know Michael feels like there is an error. We have spoken many times. I've answered numerous questions about other properties. I believe that is why we were here today. And I know that's why we are here today. And I spoke to, what do I want to say? We followed all the statutes, which we have to do every year. And that is why I couldn't change anything for Michael. So I guess that pretty much sums up what brings us here tonight. If
Okay,
anyone has any questions, I'm willing to.
well, we'll get back to the questions. I was first going to allow Michael and yourself to just lay it out for us, what's going on. The record should show that Barry Gladstone has joined us. She's one of the V.S.A members, JPs. We will probably, we should have her raise her right hand and get sworn in. Rosemary, would you?
Yes. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will well and true hear and determine all matters for abatement submitted for your decision, so help you God, or under pains and penalty of perjury?
Okay, we saw your lips move. Okay, Michael, go ahead. We do have all of your correspondence in front of us. It's been sent to us, but I guess if you want to lay it out for us in your own words, go
Okay.
ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to present my thoughts and sentiments. So I think in my September 25th letter to Brian, it was a 3-page letter, I pretty clearly articulated my thoughts and the facts as I understood them at that time. And then in addition to that, this morning I sent over just another summary list of land and building comparables that I think are relevant and give you an idea of how the town has treated other properties, commercial properties, and neighbors of mine with regard to the land value and the building values. So one thing that I think is important that was presented to me by Jenny Prosser, who's the General Counsel and Director of Municipal Assistance for the Secretary of State, is there's a statute that says, and I included this in my information, unless the personal notices required hereby were sent by registered or certified mail, or unless an official certificate of mailing of the same was obtained from the post office, in the case of any controversy subsequently arising, it shall be presumed that the personal notices were not mailed as required. And so I'm not trying to be heavy-handed, but I didn't get the pamphlet. I'm not blaming the town. I'm not holding anyone responsible. It could be the post office. I live in Charlotte. It could be the town of Charlotte. It could be Trump's new postmaster general that is restricting mail. I don't know what it is, but I didn't get it. And under that statute, if I don't get it, I'm presumed to be honestly conveying that I didn't get it. So that's the first thing. So I do think I should have had the right to grieve. Robin was very kind and very patient because I was really shocked that they almost doubled my taxes. Having built it in 2018, Robin and I spent a lot of time. She was very thorough. She gave a comprehensive lister's card. And I thought the value was fair. And so for it to double 1 year later and seeing the lister card, there was no information, there was no specificity as to why it doubled, other than he assigned a value of $32 a foot for my space. I was kind of livid, and I was really working with Robin to try to get Ed Clodfelter, who was in charge of NEMRIC, to look at this. And he was very dismissive, wouldn't even consider it, wouldn't consider that I didn't get it, didn't consider that I thought the rates were way out of line. And so that's how, I've been calling around and just trying to find out everything that I can do and pursue my remedies. I think, so A, I didn't get it. And B, if you look at the thing that I sent today in the most simple summary form, I have a 3.7 acre piece of land that, because I'm on the floodplain, Act 250 and stormwater only allowed me to build on 1 acre. So I have 1 acre, and they charged me $110,000 for that 1 acre. Across the street, Johnson Hardware has 18 acres and a house, and he's charged $104,000, less than mine, for total all usable land where I'm sitting back against the river. And actually, since I didn't know this at the time, I'm even at extreme risk due to the condition of the river. So, and then if I look at all the other comparables, Ethel Falls Storage has 3.2 acres. They're charged $53,000. Parker and Stearns has 4.72 acres. There's $108,000. Laraway has 48 acres. They're $104,000. I have someone else, Nicholas Anger, who is is about an acre at $33,000. The land doesn't make any sense. But as much as the land doesn't make sense, the building values to me are more stunning, in that they raised my per foot rate for essentially a shed. It doesn't have heating, water, electric, septic, gas, insulation. It's just a metal building. And he raised it from $230,000 to $471,000, or $16 a foot to $32 a foot. If you look around what's around me, the Johnson store, which is a fully furnished, fully equipped store with bathrooms and lighting and insulation and everything, the town chart is assessing him at $16 per foot. Ethel Falls is a comparable storage facility. They're being assessed at $9 a foot. Fox Hill Storage, which isn't in our town, but it's in Jeffersonville, comparable size, comparable facility, they're $13.75 a foot. I have a brand new facility in Hartford that I built in 2019. The buildings are taller, it's paved, so it is more expensive. They, after a very careful deliberation, came up with $15.38 a foot. I'm almost done. Sorry to take up so much time. Parker Stearns has 45,000 square feet mix of buildings that are fully, what I call fully furnished, means they have electricity, gas, heating, insulated. So they have buildings that include those attributes in addition to buildings that are just open storage. He's at $8.72 a foot. Laraway Farm has a storage building that's heated and, again, fully furnished. It's $13 a foot. If you include all of the finished buildings at Laraway, that's $26 a foot. That's still less than my shed. And then last, Nicholas Anger has a garage, which is, for storage. He's at $17 a foot. And again, that's fully furnished, heat, and all the other attributes. So I just think it is, while Ed Clodfelter may go around the town and may have a national basis for self-storage, that's not applicable in Johnson and probably not applicable in Vermont. And so I thought that one liner that he basically just put in that line as the value is completely inappropriate and unfair. Thank you.
Okay, and just for clarification, you are aware that the assessment time for appeal has passed, and that's why I believe your form, the abatement request form you submitted indicates the reason for your request is you felt taxes in which there is manifest error or mistaken of the listers. And that's correct?
I
Okay.
feel the appraisal is incorrect and unfounded.
And for the record, it should also show that we have got his state statute that he quoted, referencing certified or registered mail, as well as the comparables. And we do have a certificate of bulk mailing where the town report or the town assessment values were mailed out, as well as his letter to Brian of September 25th. Okay, with that, I'm going to open it up to the V.S.A members who may have questions of Rosemary, Michael, or Robin.
I'd like to start off if I may. Michael, you said you don't have any electric. I believe there's an automated office.
What I meant is for the square footage, I'm taxed for 14,700 square feet. I do have a 10 by 10, which is 100 square feet that does have electric. That's true.
Okay. And also, I just want to speak to the land value.
Yes.
When I did your land value 2 years ago, I just want to throw this out there, that commercial is done at twice the rate of residential for obvious reasons. It's commercial, it's an income property. You actually paid $140,000 for that acreage. So I have a little hard time with the land assessment being lowered because I do feel like you are a commercial property. I understand you're in a floodplain, but there are other commercial properties that are graded that way that are also in a floodplain. Take, for instance, Pomerleau, which is where the store is, Sterling Market. You know, some of these, we could go over a whole list, but I just want to say my assessment for you, and I would also like to just say this. I feel if Michael came to me and did grieve this in a timely manner, we would have been able to sit down. What most often happens with commercial buildings is this was done as a cost approach. When the cost approach is done, it is done on the buildings, and he is combining everything and giving you a per square foot charge. That is not the way it works. There are 4 individual buildings. Each building is costed at, you know, a square foot. The larger a building is, the less it is per square foot. So it's a little hard to just throw these numbers out like that. Like you can't look at a store and say.
The only difference was $4 from my smallest building, which was $30 a foot, to my largest, which was, again, it's incremental, was $34 a foot. If you look at Johnson Hardware, which has 8 buildings or whatever structures, or Parker and Stearns, which has 10 buildings, I mean, I've looked at the way you assess them, and you really in aggregate do need to look at a per square foot charge. I mean, you can't dismiss that. It is what it is. So, and in terms of land, if you look at my deed, when I bought that property for $140,000, $40,000 was attributed to a secured and approved Act 250 permit, that's why I bought the property. And I mean, that's a designation that you can accept or not accept, but that is how it is titled, and that is how I purchased it. But independent of whatever I paid for it, if across the street he has 18 acres of commercial land for less than my 1 acre, it just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And I don't think there's a way, or Parker Stearns, all that land that is less than my 1 acre is what they're being charged. I don't know that there is a judicial body that could say, oh, that makes sense and you can justify that. I don't see that. And my attorney didn't see it either. And that's Murphy, Sullivan and Cronk. And he does an exceptional amount of real estate work around the state of Vermont.
I've seen a
Hey,
lot of
okay,
commercial.
okay, Robin, I'm gonna
Okay,
take
go ahead.
back
Yep.
the discussion. We typically do not allow for a back and forth. I did let this go for a little bit because I felt we might learn something. This is a pretty complicated situation, and I thought the
Yeah.
BCA could maybe learn from it, but I don't want to allow the meeting
Can I-
to go
Can
down.
I just say one more thing? I just want to say one more thing, which is very relevant. When you do have commercial properties and you use the cost approach and it comes out high, then the appellant will come in with income and expenses. And that is what I suggest Michael does next year.
Okay, and that'll
Okay,
be a
I'm done.
next year discussion. I
Yes.
thought I saw a hand up from one of the BCA members, Mike.
Michael, my name is Mike Dunham. I'm a select board member plus a JP, so I kind of got two hats here. How many units do you have?
There are 110 units.
Are they all full as we speak?
No. We're close.
Are you
but
at
no.
half capacity,
Yes.
3/4?
Yes, more than 3/4. It's been relatively full.
Okay. What's the maximum you have? Your biggest unit, what is the rate of that per month?
It's a 10 by 30 unit and it's $250 a month. And I have 4 of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Barry?
As I understand it, there seem to be two issues. One being the time frame and whether it was met for the regulations in order to even consider it. And then the other was grieving the assessment. So shouldn't we look at each one? I mean, if he didn't make the time limit, then grieving it at this point is not anything we can act on. Is that so?
That's true, Barry. That will be a next June discussion that he would have, starting with the assessors grieving the assessment. The power we do have is to abate. So we can abate a certain amount if we feel that it was in error.
May I make one comment, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I believe in early July when I brought this up to Robin, and I didn't have the benefit of that statute language from the state representative, Ed Clodfelter could have reconsidered and reviewed it. He had the ability, I believe, to do that, as I thought Robin communicated to me. He just chose not to. It was early in July. It was on July 5th. So it was shortly after the period. The designated time frame had passed, but I believe he did have a right to review something, and they chose not to.
And whether that is true or not, it's sort of irrelevant for tonight.
Well, the only relevance I thought is that if I did have a right and if it wasn't acknowledged or even considered, then on the town's behalf, there's some burden that they could understand.
Unfortunately, it's not something we can correct.
No, you can't correct, no.
Okay, BCA members, anyone else? Going once? If the BCA members have no further questions, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session to deliberate.
So move.
We have a motion to enter into executive session. We have a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, I want to thank Robin and Michael for attending tonight. I would expect this board will come to a decision and would be sending out written notification of what our decision is. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I have one closing comment, I guess. I just wanted to share, and I think I did possibly convey it in the letter, I don't remember, but my thought of what I thought reasonable consideration was for me to pay the tax bill from Robin's assessment. That was my conclusion, and I just wanted
Yes.
to on the record.
Yep. That's so noted. Any other discussion?
One point, it would probably be worthwhile to invite me into deliberation so I can continue kind of the technical support, even though I will not participate in the deliberations.
Would that be considered a friendly amendment to the motioner and the seconder?
Yes, for me.
Think, yeah,
Yes,
Brian's
that's
our,
fine.
he'll be the one that has to
Okay.
take everyone out and put everybody back in. So with that, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Those opposed? Show us in executive session at 7:30. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.
Barry, all I can see is your glasses, just about.
It's because I'm sinking, you know. There it is.
So the way this will work, for those of you that weren't
I should drop
part
off.
of this, I'm going to move everybody to the waiting room. You can wait until we come out of executive session, and you'll rejoin automatically if you're just in the waiting room, or you can leave and you'll receive the board's decision in the future once the decision is published.
So if I wait, I can get the decision this evening? Is that?
No, it'll be a written decision.
Oh, okay. All right, then thank you. Have a good evening.
And you.
Thanks. Okay, give me a minute to.
As I recall, this is one of those times where you can vote in executive session, correct, Rosemary?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
Okay.
shouldn't, when you come out, you shouldn't say what it is, because whatever the,
Okay, the records show we came out of executive session at 8:15. If there's no other business before the Board of Abatement, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
From the Board of Abatement.
Yes.
So move.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? A
Second.
motion and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Right.
Show the Board of Abatement as adjourned. Actually, and I apologize, there is no discussion during the motion to adjourn. We will now go back into our select board meeting, reconvene that at 8:15.